pirates.
The real pirates of the Caribbean are not the swashbuckling characters portrayed in popular media, but rather ruthless criminals who plundered ships and terrorized the seas during the 17th and 18th centuries. These pirates hailed from a variety of backgrounds and included individuals from all walks of life. Some were former sailors who had turned to piracy after being betrayed or mistreated by their employers, while others were unemployed sailors who saw piracy as a way to make a quick buck. There were also those who were driven to piracy by political or economic turmoil in their home countries, not to mention the ones that were sanctioned by the authorities. Despite their varied origins, the real pirates of the Caribbean were united by their love of adventure and their thirst for wealth and power. They were notorious for attacking ships and taking whatever valuables they could find, including gold, silver, and precious jewels. They also kidnapped and ransomed wealthy passengers and even committed acts of torture and murder in order to extract information or valuables from their victims. How it all started. So, piracy is not unique to the Caribbean, but is found in trade routes across the world. It began in the Caribbean in the 15th century when the Europeans discovered the Americas, which eventually led to settlements in these colonies. The Caribbean Sea soon became a major route for ships carrying food such as sugar, gold, and other valuable commodities between the New World and Europe. The colonies supplied them with raw materials like sugar, tobacco, gold, and silver, and in return, manufactured goods and more colonists were transported to the Caribbean. Whenever piracy is sanctioned by the powers that be, it's referred to as privateering. For example, colonial powers like France use it as a way to weaken their competitors' trade monopolies in certain areas. Pirate dress code. Now, the golden age of piracy, which lasted from the 1650s to the 1730s, was a time when pirates sailed the seas in search of treasure and adventure. One of the most distinctive features of pirate clothing depicted in fiction was the use of bold, eye-catching colors. However, there is no historical evidence to support that depiction. Rather, it is more likely that they wore clothing that was common for seamen during that period. Rather than bright red, gold, and green, it was more than likely tans, gray, blue, and dark green. They also favored clothes made from high-quality fabrics such as linen, wool, and coarse velvet, which could withstand the rough conditions of life at sea. Pirates often wore loose, comfortable clothing that allowed them to move freely and easily. This included loose-fitting shirts, pants, and boots. According to tales of fiction, pirates usually wore tricorn hats. However, historical evidence does not support that, at least not when they are at sea. While this may have been a fashionable style on land or worn by captains who wanted to appear more sophisticated, it would not have been appropriate for a seafaring life, obscuring their view and possibly even taking to the wind. Instead, their hats would have been made of heavier fabrics like leather and wool and secured tightly on the head to prevent them from blowing away. And for the rainy weather, a hat made from tarred canvas, which was essentially waterproof. And for when the sun was bearing down on them on the open seas, a round, narrow brim hat was donned. Now, how about the earrings and eye patches that are often in movies? Well, this was not a common occurrence. Though a few may have worn eye patches, many would proudly show their injury as a sign of their years of experience. In addition to their everyday clothing, pirates also had special outfits for combat and battle, or for dressing up when they were onshore at private havens like Port Royal in Jamaica, Tortuga in Hispaniola, and New Providence in Bahamas. Many pirates wore elaborate clothing adorned with gold and silver buttons, frills, and lace that they may have stolen from rich passengers on captured ships. Pirate havens. Pirate havens were places where they could hide from the authorities, sell their loot, share their loot among each other, and exchange their ill-gotten gains for women and rum. One such haven was Port Royal in Jamaica. Port Royal was a bustling port town in the 17th and 18th centuries with a population of around 8,000 people. It was located on the south coast of Jamaica and was known for its thriving trade in sugar, tobacco, and other goods. However, it was also known for its lawlessness and corruption, with pirates and smugglers operating freely within its borders. One of the most infamous pirates to call Port Royal home was Henry Morgan, who was known for his ruthless tactics and his love for plundering Spanish treasure ships. Morgan was appointed as the governor of Jamaica in 1674 and used his position to launch numerous raids on Spanish settlers in the Caribbean. In 1692, a massive earthquake struck Port Royal, destroying much of the town and killing over 2,000 people. This disaster, combined with the growing threat of British naval patrols, led to the decline of piracy in the region. Today, Port Royal is a shadow of its former self, with only a few hundred people living in the town. However, its legacy as a pirate haven lives on, with many tourists visiting the town to learn about its storied past. The real pirates of the Caribbean may be long gone, but their legend lives on in the tales of their daring exploits and their love of treasure. Famous pirates. Now, the real pirates of the Caribbean operated in loosely organized groups known as pirate fleets. These fleets were led by powerful and charismatic individuals known as pirate captains, who were responsible for making strategic decisions and dividing up the loot. The pirates within a fleet were known for their loyalty to their captain and would often follow him into battle without hesitation. One of the most famous pirates of the Caribbean was Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard. He was born in Bristol, England in 1680 and became a pirate in 1716. Blackbeard was known for his fearsome appearance with a long black beard and a reputation for cruelty. He would often light fuses under his hat to create a fearsome appearance in battle. Blackbeard was active in the Caribbean and the eastern coast of the American colonies, and he is said to have captured more than 50 ships during his career as a pirate. Another famous pirate of the Caribbean was Anne Bonny, who was born in Ireland in the late 17th century. She moved to the Caribbean as a young woman and married a pirate named James Bonny. However, Anne soon grew bored with her husband and fell in love with the pirates, Calico Jack Rackham. She joined Rackham's crew and became one of his most trusted pirates, known for her ferocious fighting ability. Anne and Rackham were eventually caught and sentenced to death, but Anne's pregnancy saved her from execution. And of course, as we mentioned previously, Henry Morgan was another famous pirate of the Caribbean. He was born in Wales in 1635 and became a pirate in the 1660s. Morgan was known for his daring attacks and his successful raids on Spanish settlements in the Caribbean. He was eventually appointed as the governor of Jamaica, where he established a reputation as a ruthless enforcer of the law. However, he continued to engage in piracy and was eventually arrested and sent back to England. So these are just a few examples of the many pirates who operated in the Caribbean during the 17th and 18th centuries. These pirates were ruthless, feared by many, and willing to take great risks for the sake of wealth and adventure. Despite their reputation as criminals, they were also seen as heroes by some, and their legend continues to fascinate people to this day, as evidenced by movies like The Pirate of the Caribbean, starring Johnny Depp. Even with their fearsome reputation, the real pirates of the Caribbean were not invincible. Many of them were eventually caught and executed by the authorities, who had grown increasingly concerned about the threat posed by piracy to maritime trade and international commerce. Some of the most famous pirates of the Caribbean, such as Blackbeard and Captain Kidd, were captured and brought to trial, where they were found guilty of their crimes and sentenced to death, and their reign of terror came to an end. Today, they are remembered as one of the most fascinating and notorious groups in history. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and share with those you think may enjoy the video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.